Hey there, it's Anna. I am out in the greenhouse today. I wanted to sit down and just kind of chat a little bit about small gardens and small garden planning. And one of the really things that I love the most, and that is the amount of time you can expect to spend in a small garden. I know that for a lot of people, time is, one of the trickiest things when it comes to projects like building a garden or taking care of a garden. I know personally, I have a toddler, I work from home. Even though I'm at the house, it doesn't mean that I have time to always run out into the garden. If you have a busy job, if you're just busy with life, kids, whatever it is, it can be hard to find time. And so a small garden is an amazing way to still enjoy gardening, still have lots and lots of produce, and to enjoy all those aspects of it without getting overwhelmed, because I know that that can definitely happen. And I have a big community garden plot that's a much larger space. It's a little harder to get out there, so it's a little bit different, but I know that it can get overwhelming taking care of weeds and all of that. And so I wanted to talk about two spaces within my gardens, both of which I spend 10 minutes or less a day, and I'm able to maintain them really well. It's so convenient. So I thought I would just get into those spaces, kind of let you know the sizes, two different options for you, and just talk through that, because I think if you're looking to garden, if you're trying to figure out what to do, how you're actually going to have time to do it, these might really work for you. So I wanted to share that. If you hear any noises or kids running around, it's a really nice day today. It's a little cloudy, but it's warm, so everybody's out and about. So if you hear those sounds, don't worry, it's just the neighborhood kids running around. So the first garden space, I've had it for a couple years now, is down here in this lower backyard, but I mainly wanted to focus on my 4 raised beds. So in this garden space, I have 4 raised beds. They're each 2 feet by 4 feet dimensions, and I think they're about 11 inches tall, but that doesn't really matter for your time concerns around gardening. And in those beds, I am able to grow so much food. I mean, I was able to fit a squash plant, 3 eggplants. What else did I have? And I had a ton of flowers, like one that was all flowers last year, and I was harvesting like bouquets. This year I plan to grow tomatoes, peppers, cucumbers, and multiple plants of each, and that will fill in these beds easily, and I'll have plenty of produce and really be able to eat a lot out of my own garden in a very manageable size. So with 4 2x4 raised beds, you can really expect that you're going to have a couple days that are going to be longer for working. So the day that you build them, it's going to take some time. I think it took me a couple hours to build the beds, level the ground, build the beds, fill them with soil. So that's a bigger day. But on an average day, I spend less than 10 minutes. I come out and I water. I have a sprinkler system, so I can just turn that on and leave it on for 10 or 15 minutes. But even watering by hand maybe takes, 10 minutes. Weeding is pretty easy in that size of a bed, because honestly, you can really stay on top of it. That's one thing that I've noticed about my small garden that I've really loved. And when I think about, years down the road, future gardens, I think about the weeds, because in a small garden, you just see a weed, you pull it out. I probably, pull out 2 or 3 weeds a week in this garden, because I'm just always in it, always keeping an eye on things. I do keep it covered, I have the row covers on it during the winter, and then I plant it pretty intensively during the summer. But other than a couple days of, maybe if you're going to plant all your plants on one day, that would take some more time, but I like to spread it out. I have a plan. I'll come out during nap time, take 5 minutes, plant a couple tomato plants, go back inside. It's just a really convenient way to garden. And when I say 10 minutes a day, I mean it. I really, other than a couple work days, I really just come out and kind of check on it. If you're a busy person working, if you're a mom like me and you're busy, it's a manageable size garden. It's definitely something to consider. And I think you'll be amazed at how much produce you can really have. You know, just if you want to have your homegrown tomatoes and homegrown peppers, maybe a couple squashes, some eggplants, you can do that. Cucumbers, you can do that in these size beds. So really a great one to consider. My other kind of little gardening space is up on my upstairs balcony, and up there I have 4 window box planters. Now these don't produce quite as much as like the raised beds. Obviously they're a lot smaller, but what I do with those window boxes is I plant a lot of herbs. So this patio is right off my kitchen. I plant a lot of herbs. This spring I've actually put in some herbs and a few little lettuce starts. And it's so nice, like if you're making a recipe and you think, oh, it calls for oregano, I just like pop out the door, snip the oregano I need, bring it in. I absolutely love that. Every year I think about those little window box planters and I think, oh, it'd be so nice to have flowers out there. And I usually plant a couple flowers in them, but then I always come back to, I gotta have the herbs because it's right outside of my kitchen and it's just so easy. Fresh herbs are so delicious. But that's another little garden, produces a ton of herbs. I mean, I do not have to buy herbs. If I have them planted, I'm good to go. And I spend maybe, 5 to 10 minutes on it. I'll water them. I'll go out and, you know, pinch a few flowers back or, you know, trim up my herbs a little bit. But that is all I have to do, and it is not a huge commitment day to day. You can very easily stay on top of it. Window boxes, you do have to keep an eye on watering. I would say they're a bit more intensive because it's a smaller soil reservoir, so it does dry out quicker. You're probably in the heat of the summer going to be watering every day. So there is a time commitment with that. That watering is a little bit more intense. But other than that, a really, really small, convenient garden that is just so nice and really pretty too. So I thought I would just sit down and talk directly about these 2 gardens today, those garden spaces, and just like let you know if you're like me and you're thinking, oh my gosh, how am I gonna garden with my toddler? What am I gonna do? Consider this kind of a space. You do not have to have the hugest garden in the world, as much as I would love to have like an entire farm, and if that happens one day, I'll be very happy about it. But it's definitely not necessary to grow food. And if you have limited time, if you're gardening on nap time like I am, consider just even this size space. You will be amazed, and I think you'll have a lot of fun. So that's just what I wanted to chat about today, a little bit more about small garden planning and just when you have 10 minutes to garden, what you can do. I, of course, you know, full disclosure, if you've seen my other videos and everything, I do have other containers. I spend probably more than 10 minutes most days out in the garden because I have a ton of pots and planters and different things, and I have some more little landscaped areas around my raised beds. But just looking at my time for my specific raised beds or my patio window boxes, that's about what I spend. So anyways, I hope you're having a great day, maybe getting out in the garden or doing some garden planning, and I'll talk to you in the next one. Thanks so much for watching. Bye-bye.